First off, I want to thank my colleague from Wisconsin. You know, not only has he worked hard to try to do what all Republicans have been doing to open up this government, he's also worked his tail off to try to get people paid. And it's hard for me to believe that the Democrats don't want to pay people that are working. I don't care whether, you know, it's the military or the FAA or people that work here on the Senate floor, people work in our offices, Capitol Police, everybody should get paid. There's nobody that shouldn't get paid. So I want to thank my colleague for working his tail off to try to make that happen, and I'm really disappointed that my Democrat colleagues are not willing to do that. Here's where we are. The government has been shut down for 39 days because of Democrats. Not Republicans. Republicans want to open up government. Democrats have voted to shut down government. We voted time and time again. Republicans have voted to open the government, and Democrats have voted to shut down government and not pay food stamps, our troops, our air traffic controllers, or Capitol Police, the people that take care of us. I've also tried to pass my no budget, no pay bill. So if Democrats want to fund the government and pay our federal workers and our troops, if you ask the average American, do they think the same people that have said they don't get paid or they don't get their food stamps, do you think they're saying, well, I want to make sure they get paid? Absolutely not. And of course, when I brought that to the floor, Democrats blocked it. So what are the Democrats telling our families? They don't care about you or your family. It's clear. They don't care if you can put food on the table, pay the rent, pay the mortgage, make sure your children get health care. They are saying they do not care. They're heartless. They don't care about members of our military or trying to provide their families while protecting our country. They don't care about moms who are relying on SNAP to feed their kids this month. They don't care about the Capitol Police who are keeping them safe every single day. They don't care about the millions of Americans who plan to fly but are now losing money on canceled tickets, unsure of their safety in the skies, and having to scramble to see and spend, they're scrambling to say, should I go home at Thanksgiving? And think about this. You think when there's fewer flights, the price of air travel goes down or up? It goes up. They don't care about federal workers, including their own staff, who are visiting food banks to make ends meet, or surviving on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and rice and beans. Well, they come to work every day because all our staffers are coming to work every day, even though they don't know when their next paycheck is going to happen. Not only are Democrats saying they don't care, they've also said, quote, each day gets better for us. And, quote, there's no reason to surrender. How does it make you feel when you've been relying on food stamps? How does it make you feel when you're worried about paying the mortgage or the rent? Millions of struggling Americans who don't know when they'll be able to feed their families or how they're going to pay their mortgage or pay the rent. Capitol Police. And think about it, the Capitol Police, Democrats see them each and every day. When you walk around the Capitol, you see them. When you walk into these buildings, you see them. And they can look them in the eye and say, they voted to make sure the Capitol Police didn't get paid. I mean, I can't imagine how they can do that. Democrats think that every day they refuse to fund the government and instead choose to use Americans as leverage to extend these expiring Biden COVID subsidies to send money directly to insurance companies. And look at this. Has it worked? Everybody should invest in the insurance companies. Look at the money. Look at the dramatic increase in stock price. Because guess what? As Senator Johnson just said, the money goes directly to the insurance companies, and there's millions of Americans that don't even know they're getting the insurance, so they never used it. Just pure 100% profit. Did the Democrats suggest there's any fix on that? Absolutely not. Democrats want you as a taxpayer to pay for abortion. They want you to pay for trans surgery. It makes no sense. They don't want you to know that they shut down the government. They want to blame it on somebody else. But think about it. 52 of 53 Republicans voted to open it, and all but 3 Democrats voted to close it, time and time again. Now, as Senator Johnson said, Republicans want to address health care costs. President Trump said this morning that he wants to address the problems of Obamacare. What happened with Obamacare is they said, let's think of the lies here. You don't need to lose your doctor, biggest lie of the year. You're going to save $2,500 a family. It's skyrocketed. Premiums are up, co-payments are up, deductibles are up. You know, back when Obamacare started, if you had a $3,000 deductible, that was a catastrophic plan. Now you could have a $10,000, $5,000, $14,000 deductible under Obamacare. That's not a catastrophic plan? Well, President Trump said this morning he wants to address the problems of Obamacare and stop sending massive checks to insurance companies and give the money directly to Americans. He said, I'm recommending to Senate Republicans that the hundreds of billions of dollars currently being sent to money-sucking insurance companies in order to save the bad health care provided by Obamacare be sent directly to the people so that they can purchase their own much better health care. Now, think about this. When you're raising kids, the money they make, do they spend better than the money you give them? You better believe it. If we gave the money directly to the consumer that needs health care, do you think they'll spend it better than the government will spend it? You better believe they will. And maybe they'll have money left over. If we want to fix Obamacare, we've got to give the money directly to the person and let them buy the health care. So if you're going to get a health care subsidy under Obamacare, right, you should get the money yourself in an HSA and then let you buy what you want. The government shouldn't tell you what insurance you have to buy. If their idea was so good, why did the cost go up so much? It hasn't worked. So what he said, in other words, take from the big bad insurance companies, give it to the people, and terminate per dollar spent the worst healthcare system anywhere in the world, Obamacare. I've got a plan to do just that. It will bring down the costs. It'll give you more freedom. Instead, Democrats are fighting to keep these Biden bonus credits to try, what they do in the first place? They did it to mask the cost of Obamacare. Obamacare costs are skyrocketing, and they said, gosh, we don't want people to know that. So we're going to give you a whole bunch of money, and so you won't even know what it costs. And to make sure you didn't know what it cost, they sent the money directly to an insurance company. And there's massive fraud. So here's all you had to do. If you wanted to make money off the system, you just had to know somebody's name, birth date, address, and maybe telephone number, and you could sign them up. You an agent, you got paid. Insurance company got the money. You might not even know you got it. There's somewhere between 4 and 6 million Americans that didn't even know they were getting this. Money's just going directly to the insurance companies. And guess what? The Democrats want to keep that going. Massive fraud with your tax dollars and keep it going. They want to keep this abuse going instead of fixing the root problem, the rising cost of health care. It's all caused by Obamacare. When the government gets involved in things, they often go up in price. If Democrats actually cared about the health of American families, they come to the table with a sane proposal. Instead, they want to keep wasting dollars by sending it directly to the insurance companies who are engaging in fraud to inflate their bottom line. There are parents right now who don't know how they're going to be able to feed their kids. Well, guess what? I grew up in a poor family. I watched my mom struggle to put food on the table. I remember when there was a farmer's market, when they were going to throw away the food, she would ask them for that food to be able to feed us. You know what? That's going on across the country. Under the food stamp program, that shouldn't be happening in our country. But because of the Democrats' decision to shut down this government and make sure that people don't get their food stamps, that's going on. I just think about the struggles my mom went through and why would the Democrats would want to put moms and dads through that struggle today. That's exactly what they're doing. Democrats are refusing to fund food stamps and are stopping poor moms and dads like mine from feeding their kids, but they're getting paid. Let's remember this. All the problems are being caused, they still get paid. Now, Democrats promised to keep the government shut down and these essential programs shuttered until, quote, planes were falling out of the sky. Can you imagine saying that? Unfortunately, each day we're getting dangerously closer to Democrats getting exactly that wish. Air traffic controllers are calling in sick so they can instead work at jobs where they get paid. Think about this. They have to not come in because they're not getting paid and taking jobs like with Uber to get paid so they can put food on the table. So we're making an already very stressful job more stressful. And Americans are paying the price both financially and with their safety. Now, Secretary Sean Duffy can see the stress in the system, and so he started to reduce the number of flights. What he's done so far, I think it will mean 500,000 Americans will have their flights canceled each and every day. Think of that. So think about it. You might be going to a funeral. You might be going to a wedding. You might be going to see a sick grandparent. You might be coming to see the birth of a new baby, and your flight just got canceled. So, and think about this again. If there's fewer flights, the prices will probably go up. Now, right now, millions of Americans are watching us wondering if they're going to have to cancel the plans to fly somewhere on vacation or home, see their loved ones for Thanksgiving. People are wondering if it's going to be safe to put their grandkids on a plane. They're wondering if their tickets are going to get canceled or have to pay more to cover changes to hotel rooms, longer stays at the airport, car reservations. Americans don't get it. Why do Democrats not want to open up government and vote to put the American people first? Now, look, we can have a policy conversation, but why would you shut down government over that? So think about what my personal belief is. The Democrats will come up with some reason to shut down government under Trump. They did it in the first term. It didn't happen under Biden's term. Republicans didn't shut down government. And the bill that we're talking about is the Biden budget. I didn't vote for it. I don't like it, but I'm not shutting down government over it. Now, I remember when I was a young sailor in the Navy, I was a radarman. I got married at 19. My wife clearly married me for my money. I was making $332 a month. Our rent cost $250. She was making, I think, $75 a week as a legal secretary. So if we didn't get paid for over a month, which is where our military is going to be, how would I pay the rent? Do you think the landlord cares about my problems? You think the grocery store said, oh, we're worried about you, sailor, young sailor, we'll give you some food? No. We have maybe $25 in savings. Most people live paycheck to paycheck in this country, especially young sailors. I can't imagine how Democrats can see young military families like mine and keep choosing to deprive them of their salaries with a clear conscience. Many of these Americans now going without a paycheck are young families who are just starting out. Just think about it. When you start out, you live paycheck to paycheck. You probably get a mortgage that's too big. You're optimistic, you think you can do this, and then all of a sudden, poof, your income just completely goes away. They would never have imagined that Democrats would have made the decision that they didn't get paid. These young sailors, they want to serve their country, give their kids a roof over their heads, and offer them the opportunity to thrive. And Democrats are denying them this and putting their futures in jeopardy. But they get paid. Oh, one of them said, I have a mortgage. One of the Democrat senators said, I have a mortgage. How many other Americans have a mortgage? But they don't care. Food banks in my state are strained. I was talking to a friend in Tampa yesterday, and the lines were unbelievable at the food banks to get some food. These are both families that have relied on food stamps, and they're federal workers that need to get paid and miss their paychecks. I think it's the same everywhere I've talked to around the country. Some food banks in Florida are reporting a 300% increase of families seeking help since Democrats first shut down the government. Last Sunday when I was home, the church, we support a food bank, and so the church said, one, will you bring in, more food? It's and they wanted basic necessities, and they also raised money to try to buy more food. One TSA agent working in Miami visited a local food bank and described how her family was scraping by, not knowing when her next paycheck was coming, and she said it's demoralizing, and it was getting pretty bad. A recent CBS article highlighted how federal workers in Florida who have been working for the last 39 days without getting paid are now turning to food banks for the first time while they still show up and they're still doing their job. It's time for Democrats to show up and do their job. I just don't get it. How can Democrats not care? The American public should be outraged. I am. I think it's time for Democrats to finally choose the American people over these insurance companies that have made a fortune over a program that doesn't work. It's time for my Democrat colleagues to do their jobs and vote to fund the government. Now, we should have a conversation about how do we fix Obamacare. Republicans didn't create Obamacare, Democrats created Obamacare. And remember, you're supposed to keep your doctor, lie. You're supposed to keep your plan, lie. Per family, you're supposed to save $2,500, lie. It was supposed to save the federal government, I think, $100 billion, lie. So it's all been a lie. It's all failed. So we ought to fix it. We ought to sit down and say, how do you drive the cost of health care down? We should work hard to make sure everybody has access to great health care. We must stop taxing our money from going directly to insurance companies who are posting record profits. Instead, give the money directly to Americans who need it. We can give the money to them directly through a health savings account and let them pick the insurance they want. We should allow Americans to shop across state lines, find the best insurance product for their individual family. This will clearly drive down the cost of health care. But first, Democrats, open government. The American people should be calling every single Democrat. What should happen right now is every American should call every Democrat senator right now and say, open the government, have a heart, and stop getting paid until you do. I yield the floor.